But when you're thinking about the impulses that are making you do something already or feel a certain way towards something, that's a program that you have previously created, consciously or unconsciously. You might feel repulsed by something, angry at something, angry at ice cream, angry at beer, angry at money, angry at person. And like that's something that you created before that is still keeping the energetic tension. We call this programming, yeah, because you stored a bunch of identities, all the memories of things and people you interfaced with before have been stored in your subconscious in their previous state. What only exists in reality is you. So let's examine what this is. If you are in immersive simulation, you're experiencing yourself as an avatar, you experience the world and you're relating with the world. However, this world needs to appear, okay? And the world appears in space, and so does your individual avatar. Everything is a construct within space. Now, if there's actually only you, you are the space. And space is emptiness. So consciousness, awareness projected as space, and it is completely empty. So this is not your everyday human experience. This is a very subtle level. You can call it the screen of reality. Now, if you notice the spaciousness around you, you can notice that your awareness goes infinitely to the left, infinitely to the right, infinitely beneath your body, above your body. So your awareness will be usually focused at your thoughts or your body or an external thing where you zoom in and you look at an object. However, this is a quality, okay, where awareness can go and it can zoom into a detail. However, if you are able to relax, you can notice that you are the space and that you are everywhere. So all of these things are inside of you, including your body, your thoughts, but external objects too. Now, if you are in your human experience and you have a lot of things on your plate, if you have a lot of thoughts daily, if you have a lot of impressions from interacting with things and people, then you will not feel calm enough. And you might need to do this for some time, and that's just look at the space. So trick your mind, trick your eyes, not to go into thoughts or objects, but just perceive the left, right, and in front of you, the depth and width. And if you focus on depth and width, you're now experiencing yourself in a pure state. Now, in a pure state, your nature is peace. It's also called nirvana. Now, you will experience complete nirvana or the quality of peace. Nirvana is the quality of peace. If there was no moving sensations in the screen of space consciousness. Okay, but now let's just see what the moving sensations do, because they animate the whole simulation. The moving sensations create a dualistic interface, which means basically self as subject in relationship to something. So you are now the camera and you're zooming into your thoughts, your identity, and your thoughts and identity, they are creating this dialogue between you and an external object or person, okay? So your thoughts are describing the relationship that you as a subject have to an object. And this is a dualistic interface. This is you interfacing with reality. You're always interfacing with things and people. Now, when you create identity, okay, this is not you. You're not an identity. You're just awareness. But you have the simulation that is creating these relationships. So you relate to a banana, you relate to a puppy, You relate to a child, you relate to monies, you relate to ice cream, you relate to rain, you relate to sun, you relate to clouds, you relate to your clock, you relate to so many things. And now, automatically, your mind is describing oh, what's the time? Oh, I have to hurry to get there. So referencing time, referencing where I want to go as a subject. And these complex storylines are then built automatically because your mind stores, the subconscious mind stores all the references of time, of places to go, of things to eat, of people to play with. And automatically, now you can let your awareness immerse yourself into this, and you'll be like, okay, let's go and do that, and then later go and do this, which is cool. However, relationships sometimes might get complex in a way that you might be trying to, for example, who am I? I'm a person that is late. Oh my God, I need to hurry up. Oh, what is going to happen if I don't arrive there on time? Well, people are gonna tell me that I am a fool because I'm late. And then, so we can now add on top of this story of just like subject, this body I move in relationship to objects or people, we might start to add qualities that determine our sense of self, which is called the ego, because like if I'm late, I'm not gonna feel validated or accepted in this system of other people, so then I'm gonna feel like a bad ego or a good ego. So the ego can create sense of deflation or inflation. Okay, feeling like I'm so good, I'm better than everybody else, or I'm so bad, I don't deserve to be loved, basically, or I'm not accepted, or but equality means recognizing that any sense of ego deflation or inflation is basically false. Okay, so you need to understand like the identity is a simulation also, and the reality is not real. So therefore, many times when we try to have a grasp of who we are, we try to relate it to our humanity, to our traits, or like, oh, I'm a person with a beard, or I look good. Now, these stories that we build are actually very relative. And if we feel equal with life, and we have a sense of ego, okay, because ego is useful, and we have a sense of ego that feels like all life is like naturally good, and like people are just fine and everything is like normal, then you're normal. You have a functional ego. However, if the ego is suffering for some kind of like complex, it's driving this complex narrative of like something being wrong and how I'm supposed to fix it, or something being wrong, and then we're supposed to, then it's a trip. It's a trip because it's not really happening. Everything is just fine. Okay, because the sublime nature of reality is a holographic. It's not real. It's a dream. Now, if you're looking for yourself and you know yourself as that, which is the observer in which the subject, object, and relationship appear, then it becomes way easier to also have relationships. Okay, because it's not the ego that is trying to manage the relationships, because that's delusional. The identity that is a product of the simulation, and then let's say your consciousness, you're zooming into that identity, but you're becoming identified with the subject in relationship to something. So let's say, I loved you and I still love you, and you don't love me back, and the feelings I get from that, you're not loving me back, it's soul crushing. So we're losing the awareness there. We're losing the awareness as space, as a container of everything, because it's ultimately free from anything that arises as a subject-object relationship. We are in only identification with the ego, but the soul-crushing, let's say, feeling that we're experiencing, but maybe we say that somebody is not loving us, or something is wrong, or like something is wrong in the world, or however we may narrate that relationship, this is actually feeling very dense and heavy to us because we're losing ourselves in the video game. And the emotions are there to tell us, okay, like, pause, like, bro, like this going into your ego and then believing somebody may be able to do something to you, like to deny your love or not, like, you know. And but the ego do that. The ego will many times talk about they are doing this to us. So this victim consciousness, because we're too immersed in the game, we forget what is real, because the real is so subtle that it's not even like something that we can reference mentally through our identity. The real is over-encompassing, and it's subtle. So in the ego, many times people are mad at some kind of perpetrator, like a government, or like the president. They're angry at the president, they're angry at the government, they're angry at God, they're angry at some, like, angry at your ex, at your lover, at your friend, okay, at your mom, at your dad, at your... and then the ego wants to manage that. And it's absolutely not manageable, but then we can throw rocks at the government, or we can, kill other people, because somehow we are reenacting these threats from something external to us in the relationship, right? To me as subject, something external to me might be threatening, denying my idea, my identity of self, okay? But that's not who I am, okay? So I am is as simple as it is. Now, if you are able to locate yourself as the space, as the I am, now you can examine the feedback loops. How do I relate to X, Y, Z? How do I relate to life? Is it like a normal, neutral acceptance? Like, let's just see what shows up on the screen, and then, it's fun. Or are we getting like sucked into the identity relationship object? Okay. Identity only exists in relationship to objects. If we don't know how to detach from objects, desires, relationships, then we cannot enter the space of peace, of freedom. So if you are relaxed as the space and the I am presence, now you can see the feedback loops, because you may be keeping in your memory how you related to something previously. And you say, I'm terrified of spiders. I'm in love with the ice cream. I'm addicted to alcohol. But these are not actually real. This is just a previous reference. Now, if you don't have this room, this spaciousness, then you might just repeat the feedback loop. So yeah, I'm an addict identity. I'm addicted to this. So I need this, I need this, I need this. And you're not able to dissolve the energetic sanskara, it's called in yoga. So it's energetic build that you're projecting onto the object alcohol, or you're projecting to object spider, or you're projecting to object money, or you're projecting to object ice cream. And in that projection, the previous information of the identity that you build will just reproject itself, and then you may automatically, because everything in reality is automation, because you're just consciousness, so the simulator creates something from a previous memory, and the inscription in that memory, how I relate to alcohol, my body is going to move in that identity, and I'm gonna then, like, I need to drink. So like the subconscious, you cannot resist the impulse that is programmed in your identity, because you're only conscious, you're only able to choose different focus points, and your mind is automatically simulating the identity. So if your mind is saying, I'm an alcoholic, I need to drink, and there's also the pull in the subconscious that animates the body to go and drink. This is because your intention, something that you intended to do with subject relating to spider, subject relating to a glass of beer, subject relating to your bank account, subject relating to your business, you put your body energetically in tension, and this energetic tension moves you into gestures and action that completes the action in the physical interface. You go and pick up something. You go and open the door. Okay, so you're not thinking this into action. Like, I'm gonna move one foot and then the other and then the other, and then I'm gonna take the doorknob and I'm gonna open the door. You don't have to do that. There's automatic tension that creates movement in your body. You just pick the goal and you focus on the door, and your body goes and does the rest. You just see your phone lying on your table and your arm goes and picks it up, and then automatically your fingers are typing. So you're just interfacing all the time with the computer, whether that's your phone or just reality as it is, and all the actions within the computer are automated. So what can you do? You can notice the energetic charge, the intention that you have towards certain objects or people or concepts, because you might just be thinking about money or ice cream, or you might be just thinking about doing, like, meeting your friend for like a light jogging session in a park. Okay, and you already see how you will. So you're now programming actually the computer when you're like making choices of your future actions. But when you're thinking about the impulses that are making you do something already or feel a certain way towards something, that's a program that you have previously created, consciously or unconsciously. You might feel repulsed by something, angry at ice cream, angry at beer, angry at money, angry at person. And like, that's something that you created before that is still keeping the energetic tension. We call this programming, yeah, because you stored a bunch of identities. All the memories of things and people you interface with before have been stored in your subconscious in their previous state. Okay, and sometimes there will be like, if you interface with money or a specific person many times in your life, there might be like a lot of things. Okay, like moms, dads, sisters, brothers, friends that you have for a long time. You might have a complex build of that relationship, which gives you, well, a lot of flex, because you can now start to, like with your phone, probably you have a very detailed memory because you interact with all the apps in many different ways and you store all of that. It becomes your data, it becomes your user experience memory. However, if you have memory that creates tension, that you feel bad, makes you feel bad in relation to XYZ, you can observe that and you can not act on it, or you can go even and act on it, but you observe the intention, the energetic charge towards that certain thing. By observing it, you can start to just allow it to actually dissolve. It's called mindfulness. So you're the observer, in which the subject, your identity, the relation, and the object of desire, they show up. And now you see what you want to do with that object, or how you want to interact with that person, and you may start to allow that to actually change. You may bring in a new intention. This is going to be a fluid, compassionate way that I pick up my phone. It's going to be graceful, it's going to be sexy, and then I'm going to let it sleep. And you can now change this, like you can insert this with your kid. I see my kid, I say hello, I kiss them, I say hello. So you can be inserting a new way that's, for example, compassionate, gentle, graceful, and you can reprogram that to your money. You can reprogram that to your ice cream. You have a fear of spider or something that has left an imprint where you were the identity, and like, let's say the spider came and you're like freaking out, and still that's in your system. Now you need to allow yourself to feel what intention arises in relation to XYZ spider, for example, or XYZ money, for example, or XYZ orange juice. And if you're having a light and cool relationship to orange juice, you're nice, there's nothing there, you can be friends with orange juice, and you can be the subject drinking, right, the action, drinking the orange juice object. And now you're in the simulation, but you're enjoying that. However, if you're having intensity and negative qualities appearing in your emotional body, like, in relationship to spiders, I'm freaked out. And, or there might be actors in your life, like people who you're accustomed to seeing, like business partners, bosses, parents, partners, like whatever, where you have some tension. and you're able to release that tension and the previous intention programming just by observing it from the spaciousness, you as space consciousness. And now you can insert neutral. When you come to neutral, I don't feel any way in particular. I just see the orange juice. I don't have an identity. So now the orange juice or the money or whatever just appears, is an object appearing in space awareness. Now you can insert whatever relationship you want to have with it. Okay? And also, if you're like super blank and you are just space consciousness or the emptiness, then you may even see that the forms, let's take this into magic, you may see that all the forms of things, right, when you zoom in into your body, into how you identify this, oh, this is a marker, now you're immersed into the first person body experience, body touching markers, right? But if you're relaxing a space consciousness, you may start to notice that these are just sensations inside of you. These are just sensations inside of you, that they have a molecular form, they feel tactile, but they are sound sculptures. And you can start to notice that you are the field that emanates the sound. And then you may also start to notice that as you are the field of space consciousness that emanates the sound, that becomes the form, it is actually that everything in your screen of reality, all the physical objects and relationships to those, are reverberations of your will. And then, if you really take this into the baseline construct of reality, you may see that you're able to not only dissolve emotions, but you can actually dissolve physical things, how they appear, or you can manifest physical things, how they appear. And not just objects like particular, like markers or money or like something, but actually the whole entire timeline construct that is like a movie, like a scenography in a movie where you imagine your house or imagine a street and the people in it and all the interactions between the people. So this is not you when you're in the act or when you're in the ego. When you're relaxing a space consciousness, you can redefine the movie. You can pre-code or project from your will, and the computer simulator will automatically code this, because this is how it works. Every time you ping a will, your emotion creates the desired reverberation, and the simulator automatically programs your reality. So you're all the time manifesting, but I'm saying you can do it to an extent, to a degree, where you imagine your whole life and how the people and interactions are going to show up, and how your everything is going to look like, how your house is going to look like, how your bank account is going to look like. Your will is effortless because you are not a doer, you're not the thinker, you are the space in which everything appears. So you're not even the subject needing to will something into existence. Your impulse, your creative impulse, is natural to your curiosity. Okay? Whatever the mind pings to you, or whatever external reality, which is also the mind, shows to you, when you react to it, you feed it. How you react to it, you're programming it to show up in this way. Because like how you react to apples, if you react with love and excitement to apples, next time a reality shows you the apple, you're going to have presetted that reaction, love and excitement, right? So if you have positive excitement toward something, you will create a feedback loop. That thing is going to show up, you're going to positively react to it. You're then going to show up more, you're going to positively react to it. If you have negative excitement, okay, the computer is still manifesting from your excitement, but you'll be like seeing a spider and be like, ah, and then seeing a spider more and more, ah, and then seeing spider more and more, ah, more, ah, more, ah, more, ah. So that can cause like a trauma loop. But if you can exit your identity, you can dissolve the reaction, the excitement, whether it's positive or negative, okay? You dissolve it by just observing that intensity. And now you can dissolve the positive relationship to apples, or you can dissolve negative feedback loop to spiders, but you can insert new feedback loops by just saying like, so let's think about something new. For example, grapes. I don't have any relationship to grapes. I mean, they're cool and some of them are yummy, but I don't feel any way in particular toward grapes. So what if I say, I want to be excited about grapes. Grapes are yummy. I start to simulate that. And even like if you say to yourself your saliva in your mind, you're like imagining the grapes are yummy, you will start to produce saliva because your mind cannot tell, your brain does not tell Like if something is actually physically manifested, or you're just manifesting on the sixth chakra, okay? You're on the screen, okay, with your command center. So now you're telling your body to produce reaction to grapes. That is yummy. And now you can take other people or things and you can start to produce yummy relationships, okay? And if you also imagine the grapes or people relating to you, like, hey, you're yummy, then next time you see these people, they'll be like, hey, you're yummy. Okay, so everybody relates to you in the way that you have previously, consciously or unconsciously, programmed into intention. So I hope that does it for you. And if you have questions about practices or you want to do a mentorship with me, you can hit me up.